Ask someone out, ask someone over, ask someone about something, ask someone for something, ask someone in, be asking for trouble, ask after someone. Which of them should we use? Ask in, ask about, ask for, ask about. They're very confusing. Oh my god, English is so confusing. Guys, in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to use the verb ask in different situations and what the differences are between ask someone over, ask someone in, ask after someone, ask someone for something, and all these different forms of the verb ask. Are you ready? Of course you are. But before we continue, I kindly want you to like this video, subscribe. Let's get started. The most basic and fundamental use of the verb ask is to write to someone or speak with someone to get information or get an answer. A couple of examples. Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Which means, can I ask a question? I have a question. Can I ask a question? What did you ask me? 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 She asked if I could help her. She asked if I could help her. She asked if I could help her, which means the question that she had for me was whether I could help her. So she asked if I could help her. This is the most basic use of the verb ask. But what about the other forms of the verb ask? How does its meaning change when it's followed by prepositions? That's exactly what we're going to be discussing in today's video. The other use of the verb ask is in this structure: to ask someone to do something. To ask someone to do something. When you ask someone to do something, you want them to do something for you. You make a request, or you want something to get done, or you want someone to do something. So to ask someone to do something. A couple of examples. Can I ask you to help me? Can I ask you to help me? Can I ask you to help me? Which means, can I want you to help me? Who asked you to do it? Who asked you to do it? Who asked you to do it? Which means, who wanted you to do it? My father always asks me to help him wash his car. My father always asks me to help him wash his car. My father always asks me to help him wash his car, which means my father always wants me to help him wash his car. The other form of the verb ask is when it is followed by the preposition for. To ask someone for something. To ask someone for something. To ask someone for something. But what is the meaning of asking someone for something? Or what does it mean when you ask someone for something? To ask someone for something means to want someone to give you something, or to want something to be given to you, or to want someone to give you something. For example, to ask for money means to want someone to give you money. To ask for food means to want someone to give you food. To ask for help means to want someone to give you help. A couple of examples. Can I ask you for help? Can I ask you for help? Can I ask you for help? Which means, can I want you to give me help? Or can I want you to provide me with help? She always calls me to ask me for money. She always calls me to ask me for money. She always calls me to ask me for money, which means she always calls me and asks me to give her money. She always calls me and wants me to give her money. Never ask anyone for food. Never ask anyone for food, which means never ask anyone to give you food or to provide you with food. Right? So to ask someone for something means to ask someone to give you something, or to want someone to provide you with something or to give you something. The other structure in which the verb ask is used is when it's followed by the preposition after. To ask after someone. To ask after someone. To ask after someone. But what is the meaning of asking after someone? When you ask after someone, you want to know whether someone is well, someone is doing well or not. You call someone or make an inquiry about how they feel or whether they're doing well. So to ask after someone. An example. She's unwell. We'd better call her and ask after her. She's unwell. We'd better call her and ask after her. She's unwell. We'd better call her and ask after her, which means she's unwell. She doesn't feel well. Apparently she's ill and she's sick. So we better call her and make sure how she's doing, make sure whether she's fine, and find out whether she's got better. So we better call her and ask after her. Thanks for after asking me, I'm fine. Thanks for asking after 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 me, I'm fine. Which means, thank you for making an inquiry about whether I'm fine or not. I'm fine, I'm doing well. Thank you for trying to find out about me, about whether I'm doing well or not. I'm fine, I'm doing well. Did she ask after me on the phone too? Did she ask after me on the phone too? Did she ask after me on the phone too? Did she ask after me on the phone too? Which means, did she make an inquiry about whether I was fine too? Did she try to find out how I was doing, whether I was well too on the phone? The other form of the verb ask is to ask someone out. When it's followed by the preposition out, to ask someone out. To ask someone out. What is the meaning of asking someone out? To ask someone out. When you ask someone out, you usually ask someone or want someone that you have a relationship with, or you want to start a relationship with, to go to a restaurant with you, or to come out with you, or to go to the cinema with you, or to do something together outside. So you ask someone out. He's looking for an opportunity to ask her out. He's looking for an opportunity to ask her out. He's looking for an opportunity to ask her out, which means he's looking for an opportunity to come up, to ask her to go out with her, or to ask her to go to a restaurant with her, or to ask her to go to the cinema with her, or to go out together and do something together. What will you do if she asks you out? What will you do if she asks you out? What will you do if she asks you out? What will you do if she asks you out? Which means, what will you do if she wants you to go out with her, if she wants you to go to a restaurant with her? What will you do if she asks you out? I'm calling you to ask you out. I'm calling you to ask you out, which means I'm calling you to ask you to come out with me, or to ask you to go to a restaurant together, or to do something together outside. So I'm calling you to ask you out. Have you ever asked someone out? Of course you must have. Like, each and every single one of us must have asked someone out, to say the least, once in our life, right? You must have been in a relationship in your life. So if you've been in a relationship in your life, then you definitely have the experience of asking someone out. How did it feel when you asked someone out? What did you do together? I want you to type them down below in the comment section. The other structure in which the verb ask is used is to ask someone over when it's followed by the preposition over. To ask someone over. To ask someone over. To ask someone over. What does it mean when you ask someone over? When you ask someone over, you invite someone to your home, to your house. You want them to come to your house to have something together, or you invite them for lunch, for breakfast, for dinner. And you want them to come to your place and have something together. So to ask someone over, to ask someone over. The previous structure was to ask someone out, but this one is to ask someone over, which means you ask them to come to your house, or you invite them to come to your house and you prepare lunch, dinner, or something for them. I usually ask my parents over on weekends. I usually ask my parents over on weekends. I usually ask my parents over on weekends, which means I usually invite my parents to come to my house on weekends. When was the last time you asked your friends over? When was the last time you asked your friends over? When was the last time you asked your friends over? Which means, when was the last time that you invited your friends to come to your home, to come to your place? I never invite my family members to a restaurant. I always ask them over. I never invite my family members to a restaurant. I always ask them over. I never invite my family members to a restaurant. I always ask them over, which means I never invite my family members to go to a restaurant together. I always invite them to my house, to my place, because they're my family members. I have a close relationship with them. I don't like to invite them to a restaurant, or I like to ask them over. I like to invite them over. I like to see them in my own place of living, in my house, and spend some lovely moments with them. Alright guys, so these are all the different uses of the verb ask. Let's review them together, right? The first one was to ask something, to ask a question. The second was to ask someone to do something. To ask someone to do something. The third was to ask for something. To ask for something. To ask for something. The other one was to ask after someone. To ask after someone. The other was to ask someone out. To ask someone out. And the other one was to ask someone over. To ask someone over. So now you know the differences between ask someone to do something, ask someone for something, ask someone out, ask someone over, ask after someone, and you no longer will get confused when someone uses the different forms of the verb ask. Now I kindly want you to like this video if you enjoyed watching it, which you absolutely did. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Turn on the notification bell and leave some positive comments down below. I'll be back soon.